You've seen it everywhere. Millions of likes, thousands of shares. A beautiful animation of the solar system moving through the galaxy like a comet. The sun pulling the planets behind it in a perfect helix, slicing through the cosmic dark like an arrow. It is one of the most successful viral science videos of the last decade. It has been reposted across every major social platform, and it shows up again every few months as if discovered for the first time. 12 years after it was published in 2013, it is still going viral. New audiences keep finding it, sharing it, and treating it as a revelation. It is also completely wrong. The sun does not pull the planets behind it. The orbits are not 90 degrees. The motion is not a vortex. The whole framing is, to put it gently, an insult to the laws of physics. And the man who made the original video was not a scientist. He was a DJ in the Netherlands who watched a documentary, got inspired, and decided to make a beautiful animation. The animation is genuinely beautiful. The physics it claims to depict is not real. Today, we tear this myth apart. We show you exactly what the viral video gets wrong, why it gets it wrong, and what the actual motion of the solar system through the galaxy genuinely looks like. Because the truth is messier than a viral animation, and it is also far more interesting. Let's start with the worst offense in the original video. The sun leads, the planets follow. Watch the animation carefully. The sun is always at the front. Behind it, in a long trailing helix, come Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and the rest. They all stream out behind the sun like ducklings following their mother across a pond. As the sun moves through the galaxy, the planets get dragged along its wake. This is not how orbits work. An orbit is not a leash. The planets do not follow the sun. They co-orbit with it. Earth completes one trip around the sun every year. During half of that year, Earth is ahead of the sun in the direction the entire solar system is moving through the galaxy. During the other half, Earth is behind. The position changes every 6 months. Right now, as you watch this video, you may be ahead of the sun or behind it, depending on the time of year. If the viral video were correct, Earth would always be behind the sun every day of the year. We would never be in front. The geometry of our orbit would be fundamentally broken. The seasons would not work the way they do. The planets would, frankly, fall apart. There is a way to verify this with your own eyes, by the way. The sun's motion through the galaxy points roughly toward the constellation Hercules. So, in our summer months in the northern hemisphere, Earth is on one side of the sun relative to that direction. In winter, Earth is on the opposite side. We physically swap our position relative to the sun's galactic motion every 6 months, just by orbiting normally. The Vortex picture has no room for that. It assumes the planets are permanently behind, which would mean they could never swap sides, which would mean Earth's orbit would somehow have to defy basic geometry. There is a second problem with the word vortex itself. A vortex is a fluid phenomenon. Water spinning down a drain, air rotating in a tornado. The particles in a vortex interact with each other through drag and friction. They drag each other along. The solar system is not a fluid. The planets do not interact with each other through drag. They interact with the sun and each other only through gravity, and the spaces between them are essentially empty. Calling the solar system a vortex is not just imprecise, it is wrong by category. It's like calling a bicycle a fish. The categories do not overlap. The correct word is helix. A helix is a geometric path traced by an object moving in a circle while also moving in a straight line. The planets do trace helical paths through the galaxy. That part of the original video is genuinely correct. Any object orbiting a moving center will trace a helix. Earth traces a helix. Mars traces a helix. The sun itself traces a helix around the galactic center. None of this is news. Astronomers have known it since William Herschel in the 18th century. What the viral video did was take a real geometric fact, the helical motion, and wrap it in a wrong physical model. The motion is real. The sun-leaning interpretation is fiction. And because the animation is gorgeous, millions of people internalize the fiction along with fact. Now we get to the second major mistake in the viral video, the angle. In the animation, the planets orbit around the Sun on a plane perpendicular to the direction of galactic motion, face on, as if the entire solar system were a flat disk being pushed forward through space, edge first. The real angle is not 90 degrees, it is 60.2 degrees. What this means in plain terms, the plane of the planets, the ecliptic, is tilted significantly relative to the direction the Sun is traveling through the galaxy. Not edge on, not face on, tilted at a slant, like a frisbee thrown at an angle, rotating as it flies. This single correction destroys the entire visual logic of the viral video. The Vortex animation only works if the orbits are face on. Once you tilt the orbits to 60 degrees, the planets cannot all be behind the Sun. They are sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, sometimes off to the side. The leading Sun illusion collapses immediately. There is a name for the direction the Sun is heading. Astronomers call it the solar apex. It sits in the constellation Hercules, near the bright star Vega. The Sun is moving toward that point at about 13.4 kilometers per second relative to the nearby stars. Fast by terrestrial standards, almost trivial by galactic ones. We are not an arrow flying through space. We are a tilted carousel slicing through the dark at a slant. The animation that went viral got the carousel part right. It got the tilt completely wrong. Enjoy fact check, deep dive science. Hit subscribe and activate the notification bell. Otherwise, YouTube will not show you the next videos, and you will miss what we tear apart next. The misconception that drove the entire Vortex video is straightforward. The creator seems to believe that the Sun has to physically pull the planets along as it moves through the galaxy. That gravity is some kind of leash, and the planets are dogs being walked by their owner. This is not how gravity works. The modern, accurate description of gravity, written down by Albert Einstein in 1915 and confirmed thousands of times since, is that mass curves space-time. The Sun does not pull the planets toward itself with an invisible string. The Sun warps the geometry of space itself, and the planets follow the natural curves of that warped geometry. Their orbits are not the result of forces. They are the natural paths of objects moving through curved space. What this means is that the planets do not need the Sun to be moving in any particular direction to keep them in orbit. The geometry of curved space depends on where the Sun is, not where the Sun is going. There is a simple thought experiment that destroys the Vortex picture in one paragraph. Suppose the Sun somehow instantly stopped its motion through the galaxy. Some imaginable force grabs the Sun and stops it dead, while everything else in the galaxy keeps moving. What would happen to Earth? Earth would keep orbiting the Sun exactly as it does right now. There would be no jolt, no lag, no catching up. Earth would not fly off into space. The orbits of all the planets would continue untouched because the geometry of space-time around the Sun does not depend on the Sun's motion through the larger galaxy. It depends only on the Sun's mass and position. This is the deep reason the Vortex picture is wrong. The video assumes that planetary orbits require the Sun to be a kind of locomotive, pulling its train of planets through the galaxy by sheer momentum. But there is no train. There is no locomotive. There is only mass curving space and other masses following the natural path through that curvature. The reason we see helical paths when we plot the planets' positions in a galaxy reference frame is purely geometric. The planets orbit the Sun. The Sun orbits the galaxy. When you compose those two motions in the galactic frame, you get a helix. But that is the geometry of motion, not the physics of force. The physics of force is local. The Sun pulls Earth. Earth pulls the Sun back. Newton's third law. Their relative motion is determined by gravity between them, not by what the rest of the galaxy is doing. If you change the reference frame, the apparent path changes. From the Sun's frame, Earth simply orbits in a circle. From the galactic frame, Earth traces a helix. From the frame of an alien observer in the Andromeda Galaxy, Earth's path looks like a different helix again. None of these frames is more correct than any other. They all describe the same physical motion. DJ Sadhu's error was treating the galactic frame as the only correct frame, and the Sun's path through that frame as the cause of the planet's motion. It is not the cause. The cause is gravity. The galactic helix is just a side effect of how we drew the picture. Now we get to the actual motion of the solar system, the thing the viral video was trying to show but got wrong on every important detail. The Sun is orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We sit about 26,000 light-years from the galactic center on the inner edge of the Orion Arm. The Sun's orbital speed around the galactic core is roughly 220 kilometers per second. One full orbit takes about 225 to 230 million years. Astronomers call this a galactic year. Since the Sun was born, it has completed roughly 20 of them. But the orbit is not a flat circle. The Sun also bobs up and down through the galactic disk as it goes. As it travels around the galaxy, the combined gravity of all the surrounding stars pulls the Sun back toward the central plane whenever it drifts above or below. The result is a slow vertical oscillation with a full cycle of about 64 million years. Right now, the Sun is around 65 light-years above the galactic plane and rising. When you combine all of this together, the actual motion of the solar system through the galaxy looks like nothing the viral video showed. The orbital plane of the planets is tilted at 60 degrees to the direction of motion. The Sun bobs vertically through the disk on a 64 million year cycle. The orbital path itself is slightly elliptical and influenced by the gravity of nearby stellar clusters and the galaxy's spiral arms. It is messier than a vortex, asymmetric and irregular. It is constantly shifting in response to the gravity of every massive object the Sun passes near. And it is, in every way, more interesting than the clean fiction that went viral a decade ago. The viral video shows a comet. The reality is a 4.6 billion year old, 60-degree tilted gravitationally bobbing dance through a galaxy of 200 billion stars. Choose which version you want to remember. There is a temptation watching all this to think that getting the physics wrong does not matter. The viral video is pretty. The viewers enjoyed it. Why be so hard on it? Because when a beautiful but wrong picture goes viral, it crowds out the accurate picture in the public imagination. Millions of people now genuinely believe the Sun drags the planets behind it like a comet's tail. They believe heliocentrism is somehow obsolete. Every one of those beliefs is wrong, and every one was reinforced by an animation that took 2 weeks to produce by someone who openly admitted he was not an astronomer. Real science does not need to lie to be incredible. The actual motion of the solar system involves curved spacetime, 4.6 billion years of orbital evolution, and vertical oscillations through the galactic disk. None of that needs a fake comet trail. The truth is messier than the viral video and infinitely more impressive. So the next time you see the Vortex animation reposted, remember, the Sun is not pulling the planets behind it. The angle is not 90 degrees. The motion is not a vortex, and the actual truth is far more worth knowing. Now you know how the solar system actually moves through the galaxy. But there is another question that gets even less attention than this one. What does our solar system look like from the outside? From a few hundred AU away, from a few light years out, from another star system entirely? The answer is stranger than every textbook diagram you have ever seen. Watch What Does the Solar System Look Like from Outside to find out.